Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul Yura. I work with the National Weather Service Office. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist here at the Austin San Antonio National Weather Service Office. We're going to do a 2 p.m. weather briefing. We are going to be doing some briefings tomorrow on Tuesday, and then if we need to, again, 2 p.m. on Wednesday as well. We're going to go through several different slides pretty quick. I want to allow some time for some questions and so forth. There is a little bit of a chat feature there at the very bottom that you're probably seeing, and that's actually a pretty good way of doing some questions to us. We'll try to get to all the questions at the very end, and even if possible, we may try to open up some of the microphones as well. But for the most part, let's kind of get started because we have a lot to talk about with this winter weather event that's kind of ongoing. Some of the key messages for this event is that we do have a significant icing event that is going to be likely across portions of south central Texas. That we're going to have multiple rounds of freezing rain and freezing drizzle probably through Wednesday. There is a winter storm warning that is in effect, and I'll have an image of that here in a second for the hill country and probably like the northern 2/3 of south central Texas. And this winter storm warning is in effect because of ice accumulations that could exceed at least a 1/4 inch, and in some isolated spots could actually kind of get to near 3/4 inch, especially out in the hill country. The Austin area could actually see about a 1/4 inch of ice as well. Some areas of the hill country may stay below freezing for about 48 hours, and travel will become increasingly dangerous in the warning and the advisory area later this afternoon and into tonight. So the best messaging right now for all of our partners is to try to keep everybody that you can home, especially the areas that are going to be below freezing tonight, because there is going to be some of that precipitation falling, and conditions will likely just worsen as we get into the overnight hours and into Tuesday. Just a really brief synopsis of what's going on. Cold air is entrenching across the middle part of the country. You can see that on the far left with temperatures in the single digits, dropping down well below freezing into much of Texas. The Rio Grande Valley, the only area right now that's actually quite warm in the state. And on to the right, big high pressure area centered over the Central Plains. That high pressure will be kind of coming down into the state of Texas and continually reinforcing the cold air, especially over the next 2 or 3 days. So the cold air is not going anywhere. It is in place, and that's what's going to be causing the issue, along with a very large sort of upper level disturbance that's off to our far west. It's going to be kind of spitting out small little disturbances over the next several days, increasing our overrunning clouds and these multiple rounds of kind of light rain and even some showers at some point that could be increasing the amount of rainfall and then thus freezing rain over the next several days. This was a radar capture and temperature capture at 1 p.m. You can see not a lot of widespread precipitation. There is a lot of light rain, mist, drizzle, along with these little pockets of a little bit heavier sort of rainfall. Nothing is tremendously heavy at this time, but as long as the temperatures remain below freezing for the next several days in some spots, every little bit is going to start accumulating. You can kind of see the temperatures out in the hill country is all well below freezing. Off to the southeast across the coastal plains, temperatures are in the mid-30s, and then we actually have 40s down along along Highway 90 corridor southward toward the Rio Grande. So that's kind of the current conditions where the temperatures are and the current rainfall. So with that and the disturbances that I talked about coming in from the west over the next several days, that with those frozen and freezing temperatures, we have issued the winter storm warning in pink there. You can kind of see, so it's pretty much all the hill country, including much of the I-35 corridor, basically from New Braunfels northward. That winter storm warning, as well as the winter weather advisory, they're in purple, is going to be, as of right now, in effect until noon on Wednesday. That could be adjusted. If the temperatures stay cold enough and we're still getting precipitation on Wednesday, we may have to adjust that maybe even to later in the day. So this is our first shot right now is what we're getting. The impacts, of course, will be pretty high with the amount of ice that we're expecting across the hill country and northern part of I-35 corridor, which actually could lead to some of the power outages that we have seen in some of our past ice events, as well as of course, travel impacts. And especially, as you know, the first things that will start going are going to be the overpasses and the flyovers. This is our guess right now for how much ice could be accumulating through Wednesday. You can kind of see the darker reds. That's basically a ½ inch up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. We already have some pictures and some reports from Llano County where we have some pretty decent ice accumulation on plants, trees, etc. As a general rule of thumb, the hill country will probably get the most ice, and then as you head south and as you head east, the amounts of ice should probably decrease. Reminder, the drivetexas.org website is a great place to go to see what sort of roads are being impacted across the state of Texas using TxDOT's website. And again, road conditions will improve generally as you head south in the area and east of the area as then you probably get into temperatures that are more into that mid 30 to upper 30 sort of time, sort of range. So again, hill country is going to probably get it worse, and the northern half of the I-35 corridor as well. And of course, these travel impacts will increase tonight and especially into Tuesday as the heavier precipitation kind of sets in and the cold temperatures remain in place. Overall accumulation, you can kind of see hill country up to 3/4 of an inch in isolated spots. The Austin area up to 1/4. San Antonio area, Bexar County is very interesting. The northern part of Bexar County, generally north of 1604, could actually see up to 1/4 inch of ice. But the city southward may not get any at all if the temperatures stay above freezing. So you may have a pretty good gradient of the potential of getting ice as you head north and northwest in Bexar County, north of the main city part of San Antonio. And then along the Highway 90 corridor, generally less than 1/10 of an inch or about a light glaze could be potential there along Highway 90 as you head west of San Antonio out toward Del Rio. The forecast low temperatures for tonight, generally 30s and 20s everywhere. Excuse me. The hill country, probably in the mid to upper 20s. And the only area that probably doesn't drop below freezing would be the coastal plains, and then of course down here to the southwest along the Rio Grande. All non-emergency travel is going to be discouraged, and of course remember the 4 Ps: the people, pets, pipes, and plants. So that's for tonight. Tomorrow we're not going to warm up much. These are the forecast high temperatures for Tuesday. Most areas in the hill country will stay below freezing. In fact, we could have about 48 hours worth of below freezing temperatures out in the hill country. Areas along I-35, it's going to be borderline. There's going to be some spots that probably do not hit 32 tomorrow. Some areas may get, in that 33, 34, 35 range for a few hours and probably drop right back down to below freezing again tomorrow night. Again, warmest temperatures will be down by the Rio Grande and down to the southwest. Forecast high temperatures on Wednesday. Okay, so this is the day where we are expecting that the air will start to modify. We'll start to get most areas hopefully above freezing by mid to late afternoon. That could allow some of the ice, especially out in the hill country, to start to melt. We always kind of talk about checking the forecast frequently because, as you know, if you've worked many of these different events like this, too many clouds, a lot more rain can kind of change these temperatures by just a few degrees. And then before you know it, we're still dealing with ice kind of maybe into the early afternoon or even late afternoon hours. So that's why I said the current warnings expire in around noon on Wednesday, but those could be adjusted if we need to. So fingers crossed we kind of get above freezing in many areas by Wednesday afternoon. By the way, some of the best precipitation will actually be coming in on Tuesday into Wednesday when one of the main upper level lows kind of come across the area. So that's why Wednesday is very interesting because hopefully temperatures will get above freezing in most areas when some of this heavier precipitation continues. So the key takeaways, again, the cold air is in place. It's going to stick around for many days now, at least for the next 2 days. The hill country has the highest likelihood of getting hit the hardest with the multiple rounds of freezing drizzle and rain. Like we've kind of seen, the significant icing of a 1/4 inch ice accumulation on the ground will hit mainly objects today. On tonight, we'll probably get more and more road impacts as temperatures stay below freezing and some of those ground temperatures start to cool off also. We've had some pretty decent temperatures, warm temperatures over the past couple of weeks. So the soil and the ground is actually a little bit warm right now. So some of the roads will be able to handle this for a little bit, but the longer we stay below freezing in the spots, the road conditions will just kind of get worse and worse. And of course, the rain chances do continue Wednesday night into Thursday. But again, especially then on late Wednesday into Thursday, temperatures should be above freezing. So our overall confidence is getting into that pretty confident range, right? The temperatures are already cold enough in many spots. So just continue to check the forecast over the next several days. And just a few items to remind folks of. If you haven't seen these websites, I'll send out these slides later on. But the weather.gov/forecast points website, you can move the cursor anywhere across the United States, including this area. Click on it, and you will get not only hourly temperature graphs, but then also hourly forecasts that we produce for the temperature, the wind chills, wind directions, and all of that. So great website to screen capture and then also bookmark as well. And then finally, also the Texas Mesonet is a great kind of website to have up on a big screen. We have a lot of Texas Mesonet has done a great job of putting NWS information on there. Some of the networks like the LCRA, the Hydromet, the temperatures, and all the other meso networks that kind of exist across Texas. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for rainfall, for temperatures, for hazards, and also radar looping as well. So that was a very quick, about 12 minutes worth of a briefing. I'm going to try to look at some of the chatting here to kind of see if any questions have been asked. So stand by. Okay, questions are coming in. I'm going to kind of start from the top of where I'm coming in. What is that website, weather.gov? Right, so the general National Weather Service website is weather.gov. If you're looking for our particular, the easiest thing is to go to weather.gov and just click over South Central Texas, and you'll actually come to our particular website. So that is that one. Which website did you recommend bookmarking? I'm going to go backwards. So this is a really good one, weather.gov/forecast points. This actually gives us the best information because it comes right from our database. That if you're actually looking for specifically forecast for San Antonio, anywhere out in the hill country, just move the cursor, click on it, and up will come all of our forecasting information that our meteorologists are working hard right now to push into the system on an hourly basis out to 7 days. So the forecast points database website is a great one to bookmark. Freezing rain in the Cibolo Shirts area and the timing. Of course, that's all going to depend on temperatures. That is all going to depend on temperature. So as of right now, if I go back and look at the warning map here. Okay, so Guadalupe County technically is under a winter storm warning. Okay, so we're going to have to watch the temperatures. Obviously, at nighttime, the temperatures typically drop and are the coolest and the coldest. So typically the nighttime hours and early morning. On these fringe counties, the areas that are in the advisory and then also kind of east of Interstate 35, the primary time that we would see icing would be primarily overnight and into the early morning hours. Coastal counties, any thoughts of dipping below freezing? As of right now, it appears that you would stay above freezing. Again, check the forecast frequently. We have to update as often as we have to during the days, but yeah, just kind of keep abreast of the information, and especially tonight and tomorrow. We do think that the areas highlighted in the advisories and the warnings are the only areas that'll be below freezing over the next couple of days. Possibility of changes, as you know. Do you believe that this has a chance to move further south into South Bear and Atascosa? Technically, it's plausible. Most of the models are showing that those cold temperatures should stay on that northern fringe of San Antonio. But as you know, when you drive around, especially a county like Bear County that has about 1,000-foot elevation change, you know, all those small little dips, all the small little lower spots can be 1 or 2 degrees cooler which means you could have some pockets of ice in there. And again, that's why we're kind of under at least an advisory there in all of Bexar County, because yeah, there is a potential getting some glaze, especially on the elevated surfaces, the bridges, the overpasses, the signs, the cars, all of that. So again, just kind of be aware, and let's watch the temperatures very, very closely over the next day or two. When do you expect the ice accumulation to begin in Austin? I'm going to try to unmute some folks, so stand by. I want to have somebody chime in from our office. So let me stand by as I try to do this real quick. Well, I'm going to do this. Hopefully everybody will stay unmuted. Okay. If there's anybody listening from one of the forecasters, can you chime in a little bit about if you've seen any ice accumulation in Austin at all? You may have to now unmute yourself.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
This is Mac Morris. I'm in the office right now. I've been the short-term forecaster today. As far as accumulation so far, we've seen, like you had mentioned earlier, in Llano County, we've seen some accumulations up there, anywhere from about a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch, and that's mostly just from freezing fog and even some drizzle. And
right. Is there anything in Austin yet being reported as far as accumulating?
We have seen some stuff in Liberty Hill, which is kind of north of town. That's about as far south as I've seen. We're right around freezing in downtown Austin, so it's probably, as soon as the sun sets, I'd be most concerned.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate it. So hopefully that answered the question about Austin. Tomorrow midday, chances increase for ice as precipitation continues. Yeah, there's going to be, like I said, there'll be several waves of precipitation coming tonight, tomorrow night, especially as the upper level low kind of gets closer and closer to us. So there's no real good timing right now. Is like this is going to be the go time where all the ice, it's going to be a continual sort of thing over the next couple of days, and kind of like our typical sort of icing events here. It's really hard to put down a time, our biggest impact of time, because there's going to be multiple rounds of this kind of especially light precipitation coming through. Yeah, ice accumulation in the Schertz and Cibolo area. Yeah, again, it could be anywhere from a glaze to technically a quarter inch, because technically Guadalupe County is under the winter storm warning. So the potential is there. Again, that sort of county is going to be kind of on the fringe with the temperatures. So it's going to be tough. Yes.
Paul, can I mention Schertz Cibolo area?
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the warnings go, Guadalupe County is probably most borderline compared to all the other counties under a warning. Guadalupe County is kind of that threshold area where we're not quite sure how far south that freezing line makes it. Now, obviously, we want to play the way where you play it safe, because if that line gets further south, then Schertz Cibolo could certainly see some accumulations.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Right. Okay. And yeah, Robin, you were asking about Austin and so forth. I would say I haven't been involved with some of the conference calls with Austin today. So Robin, if you could call our office, and I want to make sure that I don't say anything different than what was already being briefed on some of the conference calls today in Austin. So Robin, go ahead and call the office and ask your question about the Austin area. Will there be updated sit rep and slides sent this afternoon? Yes, so the goal is for me to put all of these slides together. I will send it out to everybody. And then additionally, yes, we'll be sending out a updated situation report for those that are on our distribution list. And that'll be coming out.
We're actually working on it right now. We should be done with it pretty soon here.
Excellent. Thank you, Mac. Let's see. Is a later start recommended for schools for tomorrow morning? It's we're here to basically tell you the weather forecast. We unfortunately cannot give you guidance on whether or not to cancel schools or to delay, that's kind of up to the school districts based off the forecast that we just gave you. You need to use that information, and that's going to be the best thing for you to make your determination. Again, if you need more, I guess, the specific information, you're more than welcome to kind of call our office, or again, use that forecast points database. That'll take you right to your area that you're concerned with and kind of check the temperatures and potential of rainfall, freezing rain, that kind of thing. How likely are we in the Hill Country, Edwards County, and Riel County to lose power? I can't talk to specific power issues because I don't know the infrastructure of everything there. We do know that obviously historically, as soon as you start getting into a 1/4 inch of ice buildup on power lines, historically that's about when we start to get power outages. So as long as we're still kind of forecast for that amount of accumulation in Riel and Edwards counties, and I'd say we're the potential is there to yes, have power outages. Will San Antonio be pre-treating roads? I haven't seen anything from TxDOT. I've not had any communication with them, but obviously that's more of a TxDOT question. So you may want to reach out to TxDOT, Sam, or at least go on the maybe their website to kind of see if they have any information on whether or not they're pre-treating. I know a lot of times they'll have signs, the big signs on the highways will actually say whether or not treating is ongoing or not. What was the website on the last slide? So let me go to the last slide. Oops. So the website down there, that's weather.gov/San Antonio. It's the same website as weather.gov/Austin. It's our local National Weather Service website. There's actually just several different ways of getting to it. What does New Braunfels roadways look like? Right now, I think they're okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody at the office. But for the most part, again, we're going to be playing that temperature game to where, you know, as long as we stay kind of historically, as long as we stay around that 31, 32 degrees, the roads tend to be okay in most places. When you get down to the upper 20s, that's where roads really start to ice up. So even if we're on the fringe of around that 31, 32 in New Braunfels, the overpasses will always freeze at 32. They will. The rest of the roads, though, tend to kind of hold on a little bit longer until the upper 20s. But if it's long enough, if it's cold long enough, then of course the soil temperatures can get cold, and then we can have some freezing on the actual roads themselves.
One thing, Paul, one thing we had mentioned was just to keep in mind that we were pretty warm yesterday, so it's probably going to take a little bit of time on those roads and surfaces like that, like, you know, elevated surfaces like your vehicle or your mailbox or, you know, I don't know, street light, something like that. Yeah.
Right. So for the most part, and I think most people know this, especially with how many overpasses we have, those will freeze at 32. So we will start to have travel impacts for all those areas that are already 32 degrees, especially with the bridges and overpasses. That's pretty much a given right now. And thank you, Brian, for letting us know that the New Braunfels roads are clear right now. So yes, we will have a similar briefing tomorrow, also expected at 2 p.m. So for those that already registered, you are technically already registered for the 2 p.m. call tomorrow afternoon as well. More likely be a harder Wednesday than tomorrow for New Braunfels. I don't think that's I think Tuesday and Wednesday probably have just as legitimate shots for getting more ice, to be honest, as of right now. Anybody at the office, can you tell me whether or not the New Braunfels area, Tuesday or Wednesday, which area or which day?
Paul, I would say ultimately there's going to be kind of two different rounds. So this first kind of round today is more of kind of some drizzle, light rain, maybe some freezing rain. But our main concerns would be tomorrow morning, rush hour. There could be some icing in New Braunfels, but tomorrow night into perhaps Wednesday morning would be our biggest concern, because we would have some locally a heavier precipitation that could be more convective, as in more thunderstorm type initiated. We might have a little bit of thunder in there, and that also could result in maybe some sleet pellets mixing in and more freezing rain. So I think tomorrow night would be our bigger concern. But like you said, tomorrow morning could also be a problem as well.
Yeah, and remember too that especially these counties like Comal County that has a pretty significant elevation change, the western part of Comal County could be well below freezing into the upper 20s
Absolutely.
tonight and all day tomorrow technically, while the eastern half of the county is kind of on that fringe of 32. So it makes it really, really tough in this sort of forecasting, kind of what areas may get ice and what areas may not, just because of the elevation and you know, all it takes is 1 or 2 degree difference for us to have the ice. So will the slides be available at PDF? Yes, my goal is to get these slides on the PDF and send those out to everybody that was registered as well. And last question before we go, San Antonio's on the fringe. Could temps fall below freezing tonight, south of 90? Mac, do you want to answer that one? Do we have any forecast temperatures at all below freezing for tonight, southern part of Bexar County?
No, we do not at this time. I think it's pretty unlikely at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, everybody, I'm about to, I've answered all the questions that everybody typed in. So I appreciate everybody being on this afternoon. We look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. And as always, if you need some information, you can always call our office and go to our website, and I will try to get these slides out to everybody ASAP. And if not, I will talk to everybody tomorrow at around 2 o'clock. So thank you very much, everybody.